Namaste, Yogi. Let's talk about chakras 1 through 4. First, we have to talk about what a chakra is to better understand our energy body and these energetic centers. The chakras are represented by spinning discs, and we can't actually physically see these in our body, but they do represent different energetic centers or nerve bundles that come together in our body, and this is something that we can see. On an emotional level, we do believe that there is a correlation between different moods and emotions and different chakras or energetic centers in the body. The chakra system is something that's been studied for a very long time, and you could spend a lifetime studying it as well. What you need to understand is that the chakras are related to physical places in the body, they're related to different moods and emotions, and they're represented by different energetic centers coming together. There are many different chakras in the body, but there are 7 main chakras that most talk about today, and this is what we're going to discuss in this program. Let's start with chakra 1. This is known as your root chakra, Muladhara. And remember that Mula Bandha means root. So this has to do with the roots of your body, and this is your root center or root chakra. So this is found at the root of your tailbone. It's also your lower body, so your legs, feet, ankles, toes, basically anything in the lower body. And it's your spine. So it's one of the first chakras that develops as you develop and grow. And if you think about a human baby developing in the womb, one of the first things you see is the spine and the tail, right? In fact, we even have a tail when we're first developing. So this is our root center, and all of these places in our body represent this energy. The root chakra is represented by the color red. This chakra has to do with moods and emotions around our sense of security and survival. So if it's our first chakra that develops, it develops in the womb. We have to survive in the womb before we make it to this earthly world. And then once we arrive as babies, we have to keep on surviving as we grow. And so this has to do around things like water, food, shelter, clothing, security. It even has to do with sex in the terms of procreation, because we have to procreate to survive. So anything around these energies has to do with your root chakra. So if any of these things were affected at a young age, if you were abandoned as a child, or if you didn't have your mother or father present, if you had some sort of trauma where you were uprooted from your home, if you have PTSD now, that has to do around fear of safety, security, and survival. So all of these things can be related to the root chakra and the experiences there. This has to do with earth energy. So in relation to our yoga practice, when we are practicing asanas related to the root chakra, we're working on grounding in. So things like Sukhasana, seated meditation, anything that really helps you to connect to earth energy, and that down-regulating breath work, or anytime you just take a deep sigh, those deeper, longer exhales, anytime you're working to release that tension, you are connecting to your root chakra. Okay, Yogi, we're moving on to our second chakra. This is known as your sacral chakra, or Svadhisthana. And Svadhisthana translates to self-place, or maybe thinking about this as one's own space. When you think about root chakra, this is more about home and family, the people that you're related to. But when you move into your sacral chakra, you're relating more to moods, emotions, and energies around your own personal preferences. So these are things that bring you pleasure and things that you enjoy. So your hobbies, would be related to your sacral chakra as well. This is something that develops around the ages of 8 to 14. So as you are kind of a pre-adolescent or a young teenager, when you're really starting to kind of figure out the things that you're interested in, that's when your sacral chakra really starts to develop. Sacral chakra is known as the place where pleasure resides, and this can also be related to the tongue, okay, or anything related to the things that you like. It's also physically located from your pubic bone to your navel. So it's kind of the low belly, the pelvis, the hips, and it's the organs inside as well. This is an orange color, and it's related to your water element. So your root chakra is related to the earth element, and your sacral chakra is related to the water element. So this is where the womb space resides for women, and for women and men, it's the kidneys and the bladder. When it comes to actual digestion, this is connected to the root chakra because that's around your tailbone area, and it's what you release to the earth. But whatever you prepare to break down and release to the earth digestively, this is in your sacral chakra, if that makes sense. Or at least this is where it's processed with all of the water as it prepares to move to earth side. This chakra can be affected by anything sexually, right? Sexual trauma, sexual assault. It could also be anything that has to do with pleasure. So if you don't get to enjoy the things that you like to enjoy, if you don't get to pursue your hobbies and interests, this could really affect your sacral chakra. On the other hand, if you're really treating yourself, if you give yourself a nice regular self-care routine, if you enjoy the sweet pleasures of life, la vida, you are enhancing your sacral chakra. So your sacral chakra can get wounded or damaged, but you can also enhance it and heal it with different types of practices. So this has to do with your water element, which also has to do with your emotions. So everything that you digest and bring into the world with your root chakra, it's first prepared through the sacral. And that also means everything that you release out of your human body, like your tears, this is also processed and prepared through the sacral chakra. So this is a place where you process a lot of your emotions and your feelings. Okay, yogi, let's move on. Your solar plexus, chakra 3, is also known as Manipura, and this translates from Sanskrit as jewel city or jewel city of place, and this is the center of your belly or your internal sun. This is where we consider ourselves to have our fire, and this is the place where our ego resides. Solar plexus develops around the ages of 14 to 22. It's kind of that rebellious teenager stage when you're really kind of in the I can do whatever I want and I'm going to go get and do as I please. And even as a young adult, when you're starting to really go after your dreams and become that grown-up, that you've always wanted to be, that's really your solar plexus energy. And your ego is really strong there. It's also a place where you hold your fire and your drive to show up to your goals, your habits, your dreams. In yoga, this is where the tapas are, that fire or that drive for a disciplined practice. Also in yoga, we really tap into our solar plexus when we practice Surya Namaskar, sun salutation. Every pose that we do in a sun salutation activates from our core center. And when we practice sun salutations energetically, it makes us want to keep practicing our sun salutations and our yoga practice. So it's a great practice for you to really enhance your solar plexus if you need to gain more courage and confidence and energy to show up to the things that you want to do day to day. Your solar plexus is yellow, just like the sun. It's located from your navel to your breastbone. It's kind of everything in the belly and the trunk of your body. And it is where digestion begins. So you have digestion elimination coming out through root chakra. You have the sacral chakra bringing in the water to prepare the digestion elimination process. And then the digestive fire, where we break down our food, this starts right in our belly. This is also where our gut health, our microbiome, that that energy resides as well. This can be disrupted anytime that you kind of fall off track or you fall out of your habits. Maybe you're not eating the best. Anytime that you're over consuming, that has to do with an imbalance in your solar plexus. Now, on the other hand, if you're really disciplined in your practice, if you're showing up to your habits, if you're feeling good, if you're happy, that's a sign that you are fully blissful in your solar plexus. And that's what the solar plexus is really related to on a mood and emotional level. It's about joy and happiness. And it's about doing the things that bring us joy and happiness. So we're not going to create a habit around something that makes us unhappy, right? We're not going to do things that make us not feel good. Okay, Yogi, finally, we will talk about chakra number 4, your heart chakra, or Anahata. This is the bridge between your earthly energy centers and your spiritual energy centers. It's kind of the gateway or the bridge in between. The heart is represented by 2 different colors. It can be green or pink, and it's connected to the mantra YAM, Y-A-M. I like to think about things that make my heart feel yummy, and that's how I remember the mantra. Your heart chakra has to do with unconditional love, and that's the main theme that I really want you to bring into your practice right now as you start to understand these concepts, these energy centers, right? Is to not bring judgment to your body or judgment to yourself in your practice, to always show up with unconditional love to your body, your breath, your energy, your moods, your emotions. Even when you're feeling down, love yourself no matter what. And when you do that, you will enhance your heart chakra. Okay, Yogi, you have a printable download to go along with this chakra lesson. You've got this person here. There'll be little flower centers for the chakras, or you could see those as spinning discs. And you can start to color those in or make any notes, however you choose. I've been using these types of guides for several years now, and it's a fun little coloring page as well. So I hope you enjoy filling out your worksheet and enjoy taking time contemplating these first 4 energy centers this week. Really thinking about, if you're feeling imbalanced in one of those centers, can you bring more asanas into your yoga practice or breath work to enhance those energy centers? If you're feeling really good in those energy centers, great. How do you keep that energy flowing? Just think about all the different things that you can do to help your energy body feel good just as much as your physical body. Let's continue our discussion on the chakras. And I apologize in advance. I'm having some issues with my microphone right now, so once it gets fixed, I'll re-record this session with better audio. We ended with talking about Anahata, the heart chakra. Heart chakra is the bridge between our earthly energy centers and our spiritual energy centers. So if you think about the root chakra is earth energy, sacral is water, solar is fire, the heart is air. Well, you see as we move on today with chakras 5, 6, and 7 that these are a little bit different with the way that they associate with the elements and the vibrations of our universe. The heart chakra is also important because it sits at the center of our body. It's a powerhouse energy center. We give off this electromagnetic pulse out of our heartbeat. And it's also believed that within our energy body, that all of our energy highways stem out of the heart space. So you have more than just this main channel with these 7 chakras in your energy body. Just like your physical body has nerves that run throughout it and blood vessels that run throughout it, the same thing happens in the energy body. And we have these little energy highways we call meridians. And this is where the energy travels, or our chi, our ki, our prana. This is where we believe it travels within the energy body. So all of these little highways, the meridians stem from the heart center. It's also believed that we have 108 of these energy meridians, and 108 is a very auspicious number. It's a spiritual number. It's how many beads are on a rosary or a mala. It's typically how many times something is chanted in a meditation. It's also used in winter solstice and summer solstice. We typically do, as yogis, 108 sun salutations on those days. And there's a lot of other things involved with the number 108, but now you know that it also has to do with the energy meridians of our heart. It also means 1 as in one singular person, us, and then 0 as in all or nothing at the same time, and 8 as in infinity, and that we are all connected to this universal oneness with our energy that is everlasting, that we experience as a universal individual self, and we start to realize through the process of yoga or the study of yoga. A couple of ways you could support your heart chakra in your yoga practice include heart openers. So anything where you're doing a bit of a back bend, or when you're maybe just rolling your shoulders back down in a way. Anytime you open up your side body, because we also want to support the lungs here. Anytime you're stretching kind of this mid to upper back area where the lungs expand, you're supporting your heart chakra. And maybe just bringing that Anjali Mudra into your practice. So reminding yourself of your heart center, the energy there, the prana that flows through, your life force energy. These are all things you can do in your yoga practice to support your heart chakra. Okay, yogi, let's move on to our 5th chakra, Vishuddhi, or throat chakra. And this is not only the throat, but it's also the ears, nose, and throat. It includes your sinuses, your cervical spine, your neck, and also your thyroid. It does have to do with your overall health, especially because it's responsible with sinuses and thyroid, and these really play into your immune system. But this also has to do with your energies of communication and expression. So this is where we vibrate our vocal cords so that we can have speech and talk and make sound. It's also the place where energetically we express ourselves. Yes, we express ourselves through sound and word, but we also express ourselves through the way that we dress, through the way that we carry ourselves, through the way that we show ourselves up to the outer world. And this is where that energy resides. It's also a bit of a psychic center because it has to do with the ears. So do you ever have your ears randomly ring? That's kind of a sign of an energetic or psychic download, supposedly. A lot of times when we're in meditation, you know, we're turning within and we're listening to the spaces in between the ears in our mind. We're listening to what comes through from that side of things versus what comes through from the external influences. And this is also a place where we hold the element of the ether. So it holds the air element as well because your breath travels through your airways, which are located through your throat chakra. But the air is also associated with the ether. You know, if we travel up into the sky on this planet, if we keep going and keep going into the air, we eventually reach the atmosphere and then we reach space, right? And that's kind of what the concept of ether is. Ether is also the element through which communication travels. So it's the element that's used for telephone, radio, internet. So it is a place of communication on a higher vibrational level. It just works in a different way. And so our throat is related to this ether, but when it comes to us, it's more of a psychic ether that we're talking about. There's a couple of different colors associated with the throat. It can be a blue or it can be more of like a royal blue depending on whatever school of thought you're looking into. Because this is an energy center of expression and communication, it also has to do with the energy of honesty, integrity, truth. So if you are somebody who doesn't show up with integrity, or you have trouble telling the truth, or you have trouble with authenticity, showing up with your authentic self, you might have a bit of an imbalance in your throat chakra. On the other side, if you're very vocal, if you have no problem communicating, if you have no problem expressing yourself, if you do good with public speaking, those are signs that you have a strong throat chakra and it's very free-flowing. Other signs of an imbalanced throat chakra, sinus infections, bronchitis, you know, anything that has to do with actual health and wellness, thyroid stuff. anything that has to do with metabolism. This can show up in the solar plexus, but it can also show up in the throat because of the thyroid. Other ways that you can show up with a strong throat chakra, well, maybe you have a really strong psychic ability that you trust your things that speak to you from the other side, as I say, or from what comes through. Maybe you can really dream strongly and remember your dreams. Those are all signs of a strong throat chakra. Remember, the ears are attached to the throat, and we need to listen just as much as we speak. So if you're a good listener, you have a strong throat chakra. If you tend to overpower conversation, you have a little bit of an imbalance. Okay, Yogi, let's move on to our 6th chakra, our third eye, also known as Ajna. And this is a place where we have more of our cosmic consciousness or our spiritual center. It's a place where we hold our instinct and our intuition. And when it comes to the elements, it's kind of where all the elements come together. So it's a place where we perceive our own reality based through our experiences and the things that we've gone through based on our own personal body. This is a place physically where we have our pituitary gland, where we have our pineal gland, and it's where the brain is as well. It's where the nervous system is. So it's a place where everything kind of gets processed and understood. It's got a few different colors. It can be considered a blue or an indigo blue or a violet or a purple. Just depends on the school of thought with chakras and the beliefs there. It's a place that has several different mantras as well. It can be represented by Om, which Om is that universal eternal vibration. It's a very spiritual mantra. It can also be represented by Sham, S-H-A-M, or Kusham, K-S-H-A-M. And no matter what mantra you're using, what you're doing is you're activating your spiritual eye. So we practice this in yoga, maybe in child's pose when we have that contact of our forehead to the ground, and we'll remind ourselves to, come back into the present moment, to honor our body, to find our breath, to clear our mind, to let go of those external senses that are distracting us. We also use our third eye, enhance our third eye when we are practicing meditation. So anytime that we're tuning within, instead of paying attention to the external world, we're activating our third eye. Anytime we're really listening to our body, listening to our instincts, following our own intuition on what we need, we're enhancing our third eye. As we move up into these higher energy centers, things get a little bit more complex, and you could talk about the third eye a lot more than that, but just know that this is the place where, you hold faith. I also want to mention that because the third eye holds the nervous system, the brain, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, it holds this master gland, and it's kind of a master command center for your entire body. The third eye helps to control all of your other systems in your physical body. So think about when you meditate or when you practice yoga and you maintain that peace and calm, all of your other body systems work as well. So I encourage you to really focus on strengthening your third eye more than anything else. You kind of have control of these lower energy centers a little bit more than the upper ones. Our heart, of course, is so important. But when we really get into our third eye and we start moving through our spiritual consciousness, the heart kind of comes along with it. So really focus on this one, Yogi, in your practice and off your mat in your everyday world. Okay, Yogi, let's move on to our final and 7th chakra, our crown chakra, or Sahasrara. And this energy center actually is located above the head, just kind of above the body. And this represents our energy body. It also represents our auric field, and it does again affect our central nervous system, our brain, and our pituitary gland. So the 6th and 7th energy centers, they really work together strongly. The 7th energy center also has to do with cosmic consciousness. It's beyond the elements. It actually has to do with cosmic energy. And it has to do with our spiritual consciousness again. So our third eye reminds us that there is an energy beyond our physical selves, and our crown chakra helps us connect to that energy. So it's a way for us to really merge into the oneness, to realize that we are beyond this body, that our energy is divine energy, that it's the energy of love and positivity and expansion and the universal eternal vibration. And I know this is kind of complex and up there, and it's a bit heady, for a lack of words to describe this, but that's what it is. It's our spirituality, and it's really kind of understanding our energy and where we come from and where our energy goes after we die. And this is a chakra that usually develops as we get older, or as we get maybe even closer to death, or as we get closer to taking that samadhi. Remember the samadhi from the Ashtanga path, that peaceful release of our physical body and our merging of our energy with the oneness and the one energy. This is all crown chakra stuff. So it's a pretty complex chakra, and you could dive deeper into it, but we won't go into it here too much. Just know that you can activate this chakra by meditating again, or doing a little bit of yoga nidra, maybe doing shavasana. Anytime that you really allow yourself to let go of your physical body and the senses on this planet that you experience, when you start to have that zenned out, spaced out, euphoric, kind of yoga high feeling, that is you connected to cosmic consciousness, and you connected to your crown chakra. Now the crown chakra has a couple of different colors, several different colors actually. It can be a violet, or it can be a violet white. It can be the color white. It can be the color gold. A lot of times gold is associated with religion, right? So when we think about any god, goddess, entity, angels, any of that, there's usually a lot of gold involved. And it can also be all of the colors. So you think about the rainbow, a lot of times rainbows are associated with death, or with a representation of a spirit. We talk about animals crossing the rainbow bridge, or, rainbow babies, all of that has to do with our energy returning to the oneness. And so all of the colors at the same time or together have to do with the seventh chakra as well. It has several mantras. It can be Om again. I mentioned that, when we vibrate into this universal eternal vibration, Om, that is the oneness. So that's seventh chakra mantra. It's also the vibration after the Om. So do you ever Om and then just sit with it? Or maybe you've Om'd as a group before and you've sat with that vibration after. You can really feel this energetic shift that starts to happen. So it could be Om, it could be the vibration after the Om, or it could be silence. Because in silence, we start to hear things from the other side. We start to hear the voice from within. We start to connect to things beyond this earthly world. And so silence is also associated with the crown chakra. Okay, Yogi, that is it for our chakra discussion. I invite you to think about these chakras with free thought. Think about where you may feel imbalanced. Think about where you feel really strong. Think about how you can support each of these energy centers. How can you align with them? In this week's practice, you are going to do a chakra balancing meditation. So you'll have the opportunity to support all of these energy centers at once, enhance your energetic flow, your prana. But anytime you're in your yoga practice, remember, in different times, what chakra are you supporting beyond your physical body? It can really bring a whole different level into your yoga practice.